surrounded by what looked like Secret Service officials, people with weapons. He did come up. There was screaming that appeared to be heard from the crowd there. We did see what looked like Donald Trump being brought to his feet. He appeared to raise his fist before he was escorted off the stage and taken away in a vehicle. So look, this is still unfolding. I'm looking at live pictures coming in now. It is not clear what has happened here, but certainly something very serious at this rally in Pennsylvania where the former president was speaking only moments ago.
Jade, give us a sense at these types of rallies, what sort of security presence is put in place, what preparations are put in place to keep the crowd, but also, of course, the people who are speaking safe.
Well, as a former US President, Donald Trump does still have a very high level of security. He would have that, you would expect, for the rest of his life. He is now, of course, about to become the official Republican nominee at this year's election also. So he does have Secret Service officers travelling with him at these sorts of events. There are normally security checks in terms of the people that are filing in as part of that crowd. I don't have exact numbers how many people were in the crowd there, but it did look to be a very large crowd that had gathered to listen to the former president speak just days, as I said, before he's due to be appearing at the Republican National Convention, where he will be officially confirmed as that party's nominee. We have just learned that President Joe Biden has been asked whether or not he has been briefed on the situation. At least a few minutes ago, he said he hadn't been briefed yet. The president is at his home in Delaware for the weekend. Now, I'm outside the White House. It's a Saturday afternoon here, so there are normally a lot of tourists, a lot of people in this park right opposite the White House. I'm not sure if this is related, but it looks as though they are shutting this park down. There is a police car up ahead with lights flashing. It looks as though people are being moved out.
And Jade, we know that in instances like this, as we saw immediately, we're seeing vision now that was from earlier of the security detail swarming the stage the moment that something appeared to either graze or hit the side of Donald Trump's head. There are very clear and strict protocols in place around security there on the ground and obviously where you are at other key places. We know that often there would be other protocols to come into place for other key political figures as well, wouldn't there?
Yeah, absolutely. And look, if everybody is being moved out of this park, then we may be moved out of this park within moments as well. So we'll keep an eye on that. But yes, as I said, Donald Trump would have a significant security contingent with him. We saw in the immediate aftermath of this incident him being surrounded by what looked like Secret Service officials, people with weapons. Yeah, we're being asked to leave this park now, so we're going to have to leave it there. We'll move outside and come back to you.
We'll leave you, Jade, and we'll come back to you in a moment. I mean, it's interesting what Jade was saying there immediately, Joe, that there have been questions of US President Joe Biden about whether he's been briefed on this. Of course, this has all just happened in the last few minutes, but the fact that that space out the front of the White House is also being evacuated and Jade McMillan, our bureau chief there, is being moved out with the team.
Goes out there again, he is going to be thinking of this, whether he keeps that fist in the air, whether you can't keep him down. This is something that has got to be in the back of your mind. Back in 2016, just 4 days before the election back there, he was taken off the stage by Secret Service when someone shouted gun. There wasn't a gun. He was okay. Nothing happened. But even that, I mean, you can see that moment of fear in someone's eyes, and they have a right to be afraid in something like this. I also think what we're going to have to see in the coming days, and we talk about this divided country, we talk about this heinous act, is who this shooter is, what the motive actually was, where they come from, why they did this. This will be pivotal in how the country reacts, how former President Trump's supporters act. This is something we really have to keep our eyes on in the coming days.
And not to mention the serious questions about security. I know you and many of us have been to these Trump rallies before, and you go through so much security to get inside the venue, and the metal detectors, and they check your bags and everything. There are prohibited items, things you cannot bring inside. But to get this information from the DA now that the suspect was on top of a roof adjacent to the venue, that raises serious questions about whether something, a potential threat, was overlooked.
Well, I think, again, you cannot protect someone from everybody. There are ways to get to people. I think on the venue itself, obviously, and we've all been there, and they go through the magnetometer. But if you are a long way away and you have a weapon, I know certainly they have probably snipers positioned in certain places, but I've been to events too and think, oh, wow, look at that building over there. Someone could get up there. I hope they have somebody there. They are not in every single spot at every single rally, and that's what people take advantage of. I mean, I think the Secret Service would be the first to say we do our absolute best. We lock down what we can, but people keep trying, and they keep trying to get in. But we will learn more on that too. Any kind of investigation going forward, which will take weeks, months, probably years, how this happened.
Yes, this is just the very beginning. Martha Raddatz, thank you so much. I do want to go back to another witness here, Stephen Lasco, who was at the Trump rally. Stephen, if you can hear me, I understand you were only about 100 feet away from the former president. Describe what you saw and what you heard.
About 100 feet away from him, you know, could see his face. He was right there talking, having a good time. And, you know, you heard one shot, two shot. It sounded like, you know, bang, nothing crazy. And then you heard maybe 3 or 4 more. And that's when everyone got quiet, started panicking. Trump dropped right to the floor. I guess Secret Service jumped on top of him and shielded him. But, you know, as soon as everyone in the crowd figured out what was going on, we all ducked, and my buddies just jumped on top of me, piled on top of me. You know, and we had no idea what was going on. You know, you're in total shock, you're shook, and, you know, you can't feel your legs. But we were trying to decide if we wanted to get up and run, and we had really no idea what to do. And next thing you know, you see bullets, or you hear bullets flying, and I believe a bullet hit the hydraulic lift that was holding up the speakers, and that thing almost collapsed. There was hydraulic fluid and water spitting everywhere all over the crowd. And then before you know it, everyone just gets up and starts running. But
and
Trump
Stephen,
did stand.
Oh, forgive me. I'm sorry. There's a little bit of a delay, but on that note about everybody getting up and running, we're actually showing video that you shot on your cell phone. And this is the moment with people running out of the venue. Describe what that was like, and when were you actually able to get out?
It was pretty stressful. You know, I'm looking around trying to make sure all my buddies who came with me were with me. And, you know, it took probably a good 10 minutes to get out of there, to get out of the whole area. And, you know, before you know it, there's ATVs and UTVs flying and ambulances and all that kind of stuff. And we're trying to figure out how to get out of there and get home. But you know, we made it. And when we walked out to the road, they had, you know, police blocking everything off. And we actually found out where the building was that the shooter was shooting from. They had it all taped off. I guess it was like an agricultural warehouse, something like that. So, you know, it was pretty scary. It's like you're in the movies.
Stephen, forgive me again. I'm sorry. There's a little bit of a delay with the connection, but did you say that you were able to see the building that the shooter was allegedly perched on top of here? You said it was taped off by law enforcement. What did it look like?
It was like kind of like an airplane hangar, maybe, you know, like a warehouse for agricultural equipment, I guess. ARC, AGC, something like that on the side. But once we were out, maybe 30, 40 minutes after, you know, they were taping it off, investigating it. They had the dogs going and all that stuff. But you know, there was traffic jams everywhere. It was kind of hard to.
How far away was that area from where the former president was standing?
Maybe 300, 400 yards, maybe less, honestly.
And Stephen, when you hear that people who were there in the crowd with you, other bystanders, at least one, maybe more, were killed, how does that make you feel?
Honestly, still kind of numb to it. You know, it's hard to process all this. You know, your heart rate is through the roof. But best wishes for their family, and they were supporting the country that they love. And in the meantime, it's definitely sad, and it's heartbreaking, honestly.
And Stephen, we've been hearing from people on both sides of the aisle, Republicans, Democrats, independent candidate, RFK Jr., and all with the same sentiment, condemning political violence, saying there's no place in this country for something like this. And I just wonder, from your perspective too, you're out there, you're exercising your right to support a candidate. What message do you have for people out there? Because the country is at this political boiling point. There's so much division and anger and hatred right now from one side and the other. What would you like to tell people?
At the end of the day, whether you're on the left, the right, the center, or you don't believe in politics at all, we all still put our pants on in the morning. We all breathe the air and go to work, and a lot of these issues, in 10 years, no one even thinks about them or cares about them. So we're all people at the end of the day, and, it's not worth taking someone's life over political beliefs or whatever. It's just senseless.
Well, Stephen, I think many people would agree with those words. Thank you so much for your time. Thanks for sharing that video, and we're so glad and thankful that you and the people you were there with are doing okay. Thanks again.
Of course, and as Kelly Clarkson says, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger.
Well, let's hope that that's what happens in this country from here forward. The country definitely needs a moment of healing as we work closer and closer to Election Day. Stephen, thank you again. Let's go back to Rachel Scott. I believe she's still there in Pennsylvania. She was at this event, and Rachel, you've been speaking with witnesses, and who are you with right now?
Yeah, I'm with a woman named Erin. You were in the very first row in the middle seat, you told me. What did you see? What did you witness?
I was in the first row, and I was in the middle. I was directly in front of President Trump. So I saw him come on the stage, and it was maybe about 3 or 4 minutes. Everybody, all the photographers saw him come in. They all cleared away. He started speaking, and then we heard pound, pound, pop, pop, pop. In everybody's mind, it was like 4th of July. Somebody must have been still doing firecrackers. Then I saw the 4 Secret Service jump up and immediately push him to the ground. Then the news people that were around him, they all fell to the ground. There was 4 of them down there, and then we all stood up. None of us moved. We wanted to protect President Trump. Sorry, helicopter's landing. Then I saw the gentlemen who wear the guns in the black. They came on and they said, okay, clear right, clear left. On 3, we're going to lift them. So they lifted President Trump up, and he said, I got to get my shoes. His shoes must have fallen off when they pushed him down. I saw the red blood on his right cheek. Then when he turned, I saw the ear from the top to the bottom with red.
Erin, I'm just going to have the camera turn really quickly because we are seeing a helicopter landing. For everyone that is watching at home, this is obviously still an active crime scene where we are all standing right now. We are just yards away from where this rally was taking place. We're seeing a helicopter touchdown. We've obviously seen more and more police presence in the last hour following these events that occurred. And there are still supporters that are still trying to leave this area. You are one of them. There were hundreds of people here, and so the parking lots were very full. There was a line to get out, and so there's a little bit of a traffic jam also as well. So you described those moments. You heard the pop, pop, pop. Everyone went down for cover. How are you feeling? How are you processing this?
Well, everybody in the first row, nobody went down to the ground. They all stood up. They wanted to protect the president. All we were concerned about was him. And then kind of the Secret Service, when he got up and got into the vehicle, they told us to sit and stay seated because there was things going on. And from what I hear, there was possibly 2 shooters. There's a gentleman here that has a picture of one of the shooters that was rolled off of a building. And he was shot by the sharpshooters that were behind Trump. And I saw a gentleman leave from the left stands, and he had red blood all down his shirt. He wasn't hit, but I think he was around somebody who was. So just picking up little bits of things. We're all in shock because we never expected this. I mean, it's a beautiful rally, a beautiful night. I don't know. If no one's ever been to a Trump rally, it's very congenial. People look out for each other. It just seems like there's you don't see any fights and you don't see any animosity and you don't see too much. They're all pretty much focused on the president. And then with this to happen, it's just stressful. It's just sad. Very sad.
This is an open fairground where we are standing here. It was a very hot day. People were coming in with their water bottles. As you said, there was this sense of sort of joy, excitement to see the former president. All of this unfolded within minutes of him taking the stage.
I don't think it was 3 to 4 minutes, I would say. He hardly got a chance to do his, waving at everybody and welcome and maybe a couple words on the teleprompter. But some people tell me that they think one of the shots hit the teleprompter and that could have made him with the cheek.
Interesting. Yeah, there's a lot of unconfirmed reports still out there. We're also sorting through this.
He did leave the stage on his own. He walked down the steps. I saw that. And then he put his right hand up and fist up and said, "Stay strong, everyone." And he kind of turned like he was exiting. He was making sure that all those people like us that were standing up knew that he was okay.
Well, we so appreciate you taking the time, and I know you were waiting to clear out from this area as well.
Everybody's just praying for our president. That's how everybody is here, so thank you.
We're so happy that you are safe. Please get home safe. Again, that is just one of the many witnesses that we've been talking to here that are leaving these fairgrounds now after this incident occurred. As you can tell, still a little shaken up there, still processing what happened, replaying those events in our minds for what we all heard, that sound of the pop, 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 people rushing, taking cover, seeing the former president being rushed off the stage, and then ultimately all of us being rushed out of this area. Many members that were inside, many of the Trump supporters are still waiting to leave here with.
Yeah, you get the sense as we've been talking to them one after another, many still in shock. I mean, how do you process such a thing, right? Something you don't expect like this act of violence. Rachel Scott Forrest, once again, thank you so much. I do want to bring in John David Longo, the mayor of Slippery Rock, who was with former President Trump right before the rally. Mayor, if you can hear me, where were you when the shots rang out?
I was just left of the stage, sir. So to the right of the president, I was front row there, right on the barrier when the shots rang out, and still trying to piece that together. I heard those sounds and immediately I thought I knew what I heard, but I didn't want to believe it. And I thought for sure it might have been a firecracker or a gag, but by the time I heard the second one, my ears recognized the sound, and it's just a very sad situation to be in. I put my wife down to the ground and covered her up, and everybody around us, we're making sure that everybody was low to the ground and staying still and out of the way so that our law enforcement officers and Secret Service could understand the situation while I also was scanning because we weren't quite sure exactly at that time where the fire was coming from.
And forgive me, Mayor, I couldn't hear you for a second. Did you say that as you were hearing the gunshots and everybody dove to the ground, that you dove down and tried to cover up your wife?
I did. I tried to cover up my pregnant wife. We just found out we were expecting a few weeks ago, and I came here with her and my family today to come and bring them to hear President Trump speak. And my wife and I were blessed enough to be able to meet the president 15, 20 minutes before he took the stage, and had a pleasant conversation with him, and it was all smiles. And of course, that was stolen from us when this maniac decided to do what he did. And unfortunately, somebody in the bleachers right behind us was murdered by this monster.
And what's your reaction to that, to learn that at least one person lost their life today who was just there at the same rally that you were attending?
It's sad does not describe, what that feeling is. This individual came here likely with a smile on their face, looking for hope and inspiration, looking to hear from President Trump in a place that is deep in the territory of blood red Trump country, and he did not get to leave here today with his life, and now his loved ones are probably wondering just how it is that something like this could have been possible.
Mayor John David Longo from Slippery Rock, thank you so much for your time, and we're thankful that you and your family are okay tonight.
Thank you. Thank you.
Let's turn now to Paul Eckloff, a former Secret Service for both former President Trump and for Obama. Paul, talk to me about this investigation as it stands now. Obviously, we've had reports that the Secret Service, other law enforcement agencies are treating this as an attempted assassination unless they hear otherwise. How is an investigation like this pursued from here on?
Yes, sir. These cases are exactly what the Secret Service trains day in and day out for. Unfortunately, it puts into sharp focus that the Secret Service as we know it today exists due to a history of political violence in this country, and they work tirelessly every day to prevent anything but the peaceful transfer of power. In this case, the Secret Service prepares for these contingencies by having agents in place for crime scene prevention, and they perform what's known as an interim federal presence before the FBI conducts the actual investigation on an assassination attempt.
Paul, thank you so much. Forgive me. Stand by for a moment because we're just getting new information right now. I want to go back to John Carl in Milwaukee. John, you're learning more from Trump himself.
From Donald Trump. I'm going to read it to you in its entirety. He says, I want to thank the United States Secret Service and all of law enforcement for their rapid response on the shooting that just took place in Butler, Pennsylvania. Most importantly, I want to extend my condolences to the family of the person at the rally who was killed and also to the family of another person that was badly injured. It is incredible that such an act can take place in our country. Nothing is known. This is Donald Trump saying nothing is known at the time about the shooter who is now dead. And here's key new information in this statement from Donald Trump. I was shot with a bullet that pierced the upper part of my right ear. I knew immediately that something was wrong in that I heard a whizzing sound, shots, and immediately felt the bullet ripping through the skin. Much bleeding took place. So I realized what was happening, and then he ends it, God bless America. So a statement from Donald Trump that he has posted on social media saying that he was shot in the right ear by one of the bullets as they went by, much bleeding, and expressing his condolences to somebody at the rally who was killed, another person that was injured. That statement from Donald Trump.
And now, John, as you've been with us for hours now, it's the puzzle pieces are starting to come together, at least in terms of the event today and what happened. You know, we don't have the who and the why yet, but we're starting to get the how and how this all played out tonight, because we saw earlier those images of the former president with the blood trickling down the right side of his face. We saw him flinching as he was speaking when the shots first rang out, and then reaching for his right ear, and then now that confirmation from the former president himself. And John, I know that politics isn't really at the center of the conversation in this moment, but I can't help but just point out that you're standing in Milwaukee, you know, at the headquarters of what is supposed to be the Republican National Convention this week, major events that were supposed to take place. How do you expect that not only the Trump campaign, but the Biden campaign will then respond to all of this? What did the next few days and weeks look like on the campaign trail?
I mean, what we're seeing immediately is a pause to the political, to this very heightened stage of this campaign. The Biden campaign has said that they have they've closed off all outbound communication. They're attempting to take down their television advertising across the country right now. We've seen statements come in from across the political spectrum. Former presidents, George W. Bush, Barack Obama, Bill Clinton, the current president, Joe Biden, who we've heard from both in a statement and in a live statement to the country, condemning what has happened, offering their well wishes, prayers for Donald Trump and for those who were at his rally. We're seeing this from people who are Trump's allies, from those who are adamantly opposed to him. But there's something else we're seeing that I have to say. We're already seeing some very divisive rhetoric in an attempt to politicize what has been roundly condemned by everybody. You have seen some of the president's allies suggest that Joe Biden himself bears responsibility because of the rhetoric that we've seen in this campaign. We saw a statement to that extent coming from J.D. Vance, one of those who's waiting right now to find out if he's going to be Donald Trump's running mate. We've seen a member of Congress say much the same, except directly pinning the blame on President Biden. So for now, across the political spectrum, a pause, universal condemnation, but the early indications are that that's just not going to last very long. It could get ugly very soon. There should be a moment where the country has a wake-up call that the the hateful rhetoric that we have seen across the political spectrum is simply dangerous. We know death threats have become a matter of due course for political figures in this campaign. Even before this campaign, this should be a time for people to say it's time to step back, make it clear that violence has absolutely no place in American politics. But I think what you're also going to see is, while this campaign is, for the moment, in a state of shock and pause, it's a campaign that seems like it is very well going to come back with a vengeance.
And on that point, this is going to be a huge test, no matter how you slice it in this country. Is this going to be a moment of unity at some point? Or is this a moment when people just flee back to their tribal corners, and start throwing rocks at each other again? That is going to be a major test for this country to wait and see what happens in the days to come. John Karl, for us, thank you so much for that. I do want to bring also on that note, we have Rick Klein, our political director for ABC News, and our D.C. bureau chief joining us right now on camera. And Rick, pick up on some of these notes that we're getting from John Karl and just some of the reaction that you're getting tonight.